It started with his dog refusing to eat, and ended with a man offering his life for it. He thought his dog was the only one dying, but something in that house wanted the entire family. They ignored the signs, and it nearly destroyed them. Now it's your turn. Ignore them, and pay the price, or watch till the end, and survive that nightmare. The choice is yours. My name is Marcus, and I've been a veterinarian for 15 years. 3 weeks ago, I thought stories like this were nonsense, but now, I'm scared to tell it. I've seen every kind of pet emergency you can imagine. Poisonings, accidents, diseases that make no medical sense. But nothing, absolutely nothing prepared me for what happened to my neighbor Noah and his dog Winston. It started on a Tuesday morning in October. Completely normal day. I was having my coffee, getting ready for another routine day at the clinic, when my phone rang. Noah's voice was strained, worried, but not panicked. Not yet. He said, "Marcus, I need your opinion on something. Winston's acting weird with his food. He's always been such a good eater, you know, but this morning he just won't touch it. He keeps backing away from his bowl like it's going to bite him." I laughed it off. Dogs get picky sometimes. Maybe the food went stale. Maybe he was feeling a little under the weather. Standard advice. Try a different food. Monitor for other symptoms. Call if it gets worse. Normal veterinary consultation between neighbors. Nothing to worry about. But Noah called again the next day. His voice had changed. There was an edge to it now. A creeping anxiety that made my professional instincts kick in. He said, "Marcus, it's not just the food anymore. Winston won't go near his usual eating spot in the kitchen. He keeps staring at the corner above where his bowl used to be. Just staring. For hours. And the strangest thing, the air feels different there. Colder. My wife thinks I'm imagining it, but the temperature drops 10 degrees in that exact spot." Now I was paying attention. Behavioral changes combined with environmental factors. Could be neurological. Could be sensory. Dogs detect things we can't. Gas leaks, electrical problems, even certain medical conditions in humans. I suggested bringing Winston in for a full examination. "No, that's just it." Noah continued, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "He's perfectly fine everywhere else in the house. Playful, affectionate, normal. It's only that corner of the kitchen, only around food time. And Marcus, I'm starting to smell something too. Something chemical, sweet, but wrong. Like antifreeze. Maybe, but I don't have any antifreeze in the house." The hair on the back of my neck stood up. Antifreeze poisoning is one of the most common and deadliest threats to dogs. Ethylene glycol has a sweet smell that dogs find attractive, but it's absolutely lethal. Even small amounts can cause kidney failure and death within hours. "Noah, bring Winston in immediately. Don't wait. And check every inch of your house for any possible source of antifreeze. Garage, basement, any automotive fluids, even some cleaning products contain it." But deep down, something felt wrong about the whole situation. The localized cold spot, the dog's specific behavioral response, the smell that came and went. In 15 years of practice, I'd never encountered anything quite like this. That evening, Noah brought Winston to my clinic for an emergency after-hours appointment. The dog seemed perfectly healthy, temperature normal, reflexes good, blood work came back clean. No signs of poisoning, no neurological abnormalities. But when I asked Noah to demonstrate Winston's behavior, something genuinely unsettling happened. Noah pulled out a small bag of Winston's regular food, the same brand he'd been eating happily for years. The moment he opened the bag, Winston's entire demeanor changed. The friendly, tail-wagging golden retriever transformed into a terrified animal. He backed against the examination room wall, trembling, his eyes fixed on a point about 3 feet above the food bag. Whimpering sounds I'd never heard from him before, and I felt it too. The temperature in that small room dropped noticeably. My breath started misting slightly. The fluorescent lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. There was a smell, faint but distinct, sweet and chemical, exactly like Noah had described. "What the hell is happening here?" Noah asked, his voice cracking with genuine fear. I had no answer. Nothing in my medical training, nothing in my 15 years of experience, could explain what we were witnessing. But I knew one thing for certain. Something was very, very wrong. Over the next few days, the situation escalated rapidly. Noah called me every morning with updates, and each call was more disturbing than the last. Day 3. Winston had stopped eating entirely, not just refusing his regular food, but rejecting all food, even his favorite treats. He'd lost 3 pounds in 2 days. The cold spot in the kitchen had expanded, now covering nearly half the room. Noah's wife, Sarah, had started experiencing headaches whenever she spent time in that area. Day 4. Winston had begun showing signs of severe stress, excessive panting, pacing, loss of bladder control, but only in the kitchen. Everywhere else in the house, he remained completely normal. Noah had installed a thermometer in the kitchen. The readings were impossible, while the rest of the house maintained a steady 72 degrees. The area around Winston's feeding spot fluctuated wildly, sometimes dropping to near freezing, sometimes spiking to over 90 degrees. Day 5. Sarah called me directly, crying. She tried to feed Winston herself, thinking maybe he just needed a different person to encourage him. The moment she approached his bowl with food, she became violently ill. Nausea, dizziness, a metallic taste in her mouth that lasted for hours. She was convinced something in the house was making them all sick. By day 6, I knew we were dealing with something beyond normal veterinary medicine. Noah's voice on the phone was barely recognizable. Exhausted, frightened, desperate. "Marcus, I need you to come over. Tonight." Winston collapsed this morning. He's breathing, but barely. And Sarah's getting sicker. The smell is stronger now. It's spreading through the whole house. We can barely stay inside, but we can't leave Winston. I arrived at Noah's house just after sunset. The moment I stepped inside, I understood why they were so frightened. The entire house felt wrong. Not just cold, but oppressive, as if the air itself had weight. The chemical smell was overwhelming now, so strong it burned my throat and made my eyes water. Winston was lying in the living room, as far from the kitchen as possible. He was conscious but weak, his breathing shallow and labored. When I examined him, his pupils were dilated, his gums were pale, and his heart rate was dangerously low. Classic signs of severe poisoning. But his blood work from 3 days ago had been completely normal. "Noah, we need to get Winston to the emergency clinic immediately. These are signs of acute toxicity, but I need to run more comprehensive tests to determine what's causing it." As we prepared to move Winston, something happened that changed everything. I was lifting the dog carefully, when suddenly the temperature in the room plummeted. My breath became visible in the air. The lights began flickering rapidly, creating a strobe effect that made everything feel surreal and nightmarish. And then I saw it. Or rather, I saw something. A shadow that didn't match any object in the room. A darkness that seemed to move independently, hovering near the ceiling. Roughly human-shaped but wrong somehow. Too tall, too thin, with what looked like tendrils or smoke drifting from its edges. Noah saw my expression change. "You can see it too, can't you? It's been getting stronger, more visible. Whatever this thing is, it's killing Winston, and it's making Sarah sick. And I think I'm next." The shadow moved closer. The smell intensified until it was almost unbearable. Winston's breathing became even more labored. I realized we were running out of time, but I also realized something else. This wasn't random. This entity, whatever it was, wasn't just randomly poisoning a dog. It was methodical, deliberate. It was using Winston as bait, drawing the family closer to their own destruction. "Listen to me carefully," I told Noah, trying to keep my voice steady despite the terror I felt. "This thing is feeding off your fear, your desperation. It's using Winston to get to you and Sarah. We need to remove Winston from this house immediately, but we also need to understand what we're dealing with." As we carried Winston to my car, I asked Noah about the history of his house. Had anything unusual happened before? Any previous owners with strange experiences? Any deaths or tragedies associated with the property? The realtor mentioned something. Noah said, his voice barely audible over the wind that had started howling around us despite the clear night sky. The previous owner, an elderly woman named Agnes. She died in the kitchen. Natural causes, they said, but she was found next to her dog's food bowl. The dog had been dead for 3 days. Starvation, they thought, but the vet couldn't explain why a healthy dog would refuse to eat. The pieces were falling into place. Agnes hadn't died of natural causes. She'd been marked by the same entity that was now targeting Noah's family. And she tried to save her dog, just like Noah was trying to save Winston. At the emergency clinic, Winston's blood work revealed massive organ failure, kidney damage consistent with antifreeze poisoning, but also liver toxicity, cardiac irregularities, and neurological symptoms that defied explanation. The supervising veterinarian was baffled. The toxicology reports showed traces of substances that shouldn't exist in any earthly environment. What kind of poison causes this kind of systematic shutdown? She asked me privately. The kind that isn't really poison. I replied, the kind that's something else entirely, while Winston was on 4 fluids and supportive care. I did research I never thought I'd need to do as a veterinarian. I called my grandmother, who had grown up in the rural South, surrounded by stories and superstitions I'd always dismissed as folklore. Grandma, tell me about entities that target families through their pets. Her voice became deadly serious. Marcus, honey, why are you asking about such dark things? I told her everything. The cold spots, the shadow, Winston's symptoms, the progressive targeting of the entire family. That sounds like a Decay walker, she said quietly, an ancient malevolent spirit that feeds on the life force of families. But it's cunning. It always starts with the most innocent, most trusting member, the family pet. It slowly poisons them, not with earthly toxins, but with spiritual corruption. As the family watches their beloved pet suffer and die, their desperation and grief feed the entity, making it stronger. How do you stop it? You don't stop it, honey. You banish it, but it requires sacrifice. The entity has to be offered something it values more than its current victims. Usually, that means the person it's marked as its primary target has to willingly confront it. I knew that person was Noah. When I returned to the house, Noah and Sarah were packed and ready to leave. They decided to abandon their home, thinking distance might save them. But I knew better. This entity had marked them. Distance wouldn't matter. Noah, we need to end this tonight. If we don't, it will follow you wherever you go. And next time, it might not start with Winston. I explained what my grandmother had told me. The entity fed on fear and desperation, but it could be banished if confronted directly by its primary target. It was risky, potentially deadly, but it was their only chance for a normal life. What do I have to do? Noah asked. Go back into the kitchen, alone. Bring Winston's food bowl, and demand that the entity take you instead of Winston. But you have to mean it. You have to be genuinely willing to sacrifice yourself for your dog. Noah didn't hesitate, despite his terror, despite the very real possibility that he might die. He grabbed Winston's food bowl and walked into the kitchen. I waited in the living room with Sarah, listening to the sounds from the kitchen. The temperature dropped so low that frost began forming on the windows. The house shook as if caught in an earthquake. Lights flickered and went out throughout the house. Then suddenly, silence. Noah emerged from the kitchen 5 minutes later, pale but alive. It's gone, he said simply. I told it that if it wanted to feed on our family's life force, it could take me instead of Winston. I meant it. I was completely prepared to die. And then, it just dissipated, like smoke in wind. Winston made a full recovery within 48 hours. His blood work returned to normal. His appetite came back stronger than ever. The cold spots disappeared from the house. The chemical smell vanished completely. But the experience changed all of us. Noah and Sarah moved out of the house within a month, unable to feel comfortable there despite the entity's banishment. They gave me updates on Winston regularly. He lived another 8 healthy, happy years. As for me, I now pay attention to cases that don't make medical sense. I ask different questions. I look for patterns that exist beyond the physical world, because I learned that sometimes, love is the most powerful force in the universe. Noah's willingness to sacrifice his own life for his dog's safety was something the entity couldn't corrupt or consume. Pure, selfless love was the one thing it couldn't feed on, couldn't twist to its own purposes. So when your dog starts acting strange around their food, when they seem terrified of things you can't see, don't dismiss it as behavioral quirks. Trust their instincts. Dogs can sense malevolent presences long before humans can. They're trying to protect you, the same way you'd protect them. And if you're facing something that defies explanation, something that threatens the ones you love, remember Noah's courage. Sometimes the only way to defeat genuine evil is to face it with genuine love. The kind of love that's willing to sacrifice everything. Your dog is trying to tell you something. Are you listening?